want to. You don't gotta do it if you don't want to. You don't gotta do it if you don't want to. It's just a suggestion. Come on.
Cheers. We're doing this again.
You can't stop us.
Welcome back to the ConverSAYtion. I am Psych, and joining me as always, the 11th letter of the alphabet, letter K. And we're going to continue our conversation on health and fitness. I was just sharing, I was just at Costco, and health and fitness is everywhere. Anything with high amounts of protein, anything low carbs, anything keto or gluten-free, or it's everywhere. The labels are bigger, they're in bold, they're up front, they're on every end cap, there's samples being given. You know this firsthand from your previous career.
Yeah, and as I alluded to last time, you know, this time of year, you put out pallet displays of Slim Fast, whereas the whole after February, it all goes away. Mm-hmm. If you don't sell it all, you're not selling it.
Okay, so that was my next question. If those products stayed available year round, well, we know they are available, but if they were promoted as much throughout the year, would the sales also match and continue? No. Okay, so the sales follow the consumer trends.
Yes, we know from decades of market research that when you put out Slim Fast in the last week of December, so that's ready to go January 1st, mm-hmm. that your average store is gonna burn through X amount of pallets of that stuff, and then right around Valentine's Day cuts off. You might as well just take it down and put up Easter candy.
Okay, so that local market has been saturated. They don't want it anymore. They've had enough, or they've had their fill. They've moved on. So,
to give you an idea, because last time we talked about how just starting versus continuing, mm-hmm. and we debated. I had suggested that it was easier for people to start than it was for them to continue, because people can start. And based on that, I pulled up some statistics, and what I've got here is, based on a 2012 study, approximately 73% of people who set fitness goals as New Year's resolutions mm-hmm. abandon them before achieving their goals. And according to a 2017 study, more than 90% of individuals discontinue gym attendance within the first 3 months. So yeah, it's tied to that cyclical concept of the New Year's resolution. And it's the same with gym memberships as it is with grocery products. People don't stick with it. They don't have the motivation, or they have unrealistic expectations, or they convince themselves they don't have the time for it, or it's too expensive. Whatever it is, I give the bulk of people in the United States who decide to kick the new year off with better health initiatives about 6 weeks.
Okay. I think, like with anything else, it's scheduling. It's people have routines and habits, and they have all of these behaviors built into their 24 hours a day, and now they want to add something new, and they don't realize you can't just keep adding stuff into your day. Something's going to have to give eventually. You're going to have to trade off something. There's going to be an opportunity cost in there, and unless you account for that, I would say, unless you're just absolutely blowing your time. If you are wasting your time, if you have time to kill, if you have just forever and you're literally doing nothing, then yes, you can trade nothing for something.
Yeah, but most people are doing nothing. I spend way too much time on my couch playing video games and watching television. So, even if you're doing nothing, you're doing something. Mm-hmm. So find those somethings, and I totally agree. You can't add time to your day. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's famous for saying that that people only need to sleep 6 hours a day, and if you feel like you need 8 hours of sleep, sleep faster,
Yeah,
right?
sleep faster.
Yeah. And but he also is filling up his time. So say you spend you look at your life. Look at your life. Say you spend 5 hours a day after work watching television, playing video games. There's a good opportunity there for trading some of that time out with something that will actually benefit you, health goal wise.
So what would you say and suggest as, I know people like to say hacks, life hacks. There's a hack for this hack. I mean, the term is trendy and people like it, but it's just a solution. It's just stuff people have done. Are there things that people have legitimately overlooked over time and somebody came up with a new creative solution? I mean, that maybe I would put into this container that we call of things we call hacks. But what, for somebody that doesn't have time or thinks they legitimately cannot, what did you do? I mean, what did you do to build your schedule? You're a busy individual.
My example was my example. I spent a lot of free time just sitting about, and I ate away at that time. It's like, well,
Okay.
I mean, if I'm only I exercise for 45 minutes a day. I can spend 45 minutes less playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think that you need to assess yourself, because yes, we're routine oriented, and this, in order to maintain any kind of health goal, it's like anything else in life. It's like going to work. It's like breathing. It has to be a part of your schedule. You have to plan for it. You have to add it into your routine. You've got to do that. I don't know anybody who just flies off the seat of their pants for exercising and does it consistently. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't happen. So yes, evaluate your life. You know what you're doing. Look at it. What am I doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Am I spending? Do I do something 5 or 4 to 7, 7 days a week that I could eat away a little bit of that because it's frivolous, because it's useless, because it's just me being bored? Yeah, that's what I would do. I would suggest to anybody to look at themselves. Look at themselves, and if it's important, find the time.
I think there's opportunities that people may not even consider, such as their time at work. I know there's many people that I work with that on their breaks and lunches they'll go for a run,
yep,
or they'll go for a long walk. They'll use a standing desk, or I don't know of anybody that has treadmills underneath their desks yet where you work. Does anybody have that? Have you seen that around?
I've seen it one time. We did a private office and they had one.
I think it's cool. I would like to have one myself.
However, I was curious, so I asked the customer or asked the user, because I did notice that it was not centered with his desk. He wasn't really using it.
Oh, okay. Did you get to sample it?
I did not.
Okay.
No, I don't ask people if I can use the stuff in their office.
I would be curious how typing and utilizing a mouse and everything, desk work, would actually go while you are mid-stride.
You're talking about trying to type an email while coordinating, moving your feet. I don't know if I could do that. I would have to try it to see if I could even pull that off.
I was just in my mind as a thought experiment, and I was like, I don't know. It struck me as one of those things like patting your head and rubbing your stomach, at the same time.
And the only reason I can do that is because I practiced it as a kid. Yeah.
There you go.
So maybe like anything else, it just takes a little practice.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's like how I read a thing once recently, actually, where it talked, because I have problems with my tendonitis in different spots, and I was getting I got bursitis in my shoulder, and I was getting golfer's elbow, and it's probably because I favor this side because this is my strong side, right?
Yes.
And so I was looking that up, and there are studies that show that people who work towards a more ambidextrous, coordinated effort in their body, it's a solution. And I'd read about talking about different ways to train your weak side so you can become more naturally ambidextrous.
Okay. And that would probably help somebody excel in all sorts of things, including fitness goals or in sports, things that they would like to pursue in their health journey. I was thinking about when you were mentioning you don't know too many people that might just jump off the couch and try to put fitness and shove fitness and health into their lives. I think the only thing I could think of that might fit into that category are people that were enthralled in sports. For example, people that love basketball. They love to go out and play pickup basketball, or go to the park and play basketball, or go to the gym and play a pickup game. If they got a phone call and so it's like, hey, we're gonna go this Saturday and play, or hey, and meet us at the gym in 2 hours, we're gonna go. They might just do that. But I can't think of too many people that would do that for something gym related. Like, hey, let's go do some bicep curls for the next 45 minutes. And
but I mean, even playing basketball is exercise. It's an endeavor. It's an effort. But getting a random call to play a pickup game is not consistency.
No. It's not. It is not. But it might be something that somebody feels compelled to do as they're watching basketball. I'd say it happens far less. And it's not something that is conducive to somebody's long-term health
and now
fitness goals.
If you were obsessed with hoops and you dedicated yourself to 4 days a week going to the gym at this certain time and getting into a pickup game,
more successful.
That's more successful.
Scheduled
but
success.
Again, you've got to schedule it. It's got to be a part of your life. It's like I said, it's so I know that I got to be at work at 6:30 every morning, right? And so I know that I have lunch every day at 11. I know that I'm going to get home every day at 5. And these things are static. There's no changing them. If I want my life to succeed, I have to do those things.
Those are the big things.
Yeah. Exercising should be a big thing too, I would say. I exercise every morning before I do anything. I have a cup of coffee and I stretch and work out. Or I have a cup of coffee, I drive to the gym and I swim. On Saturdays, I have a cup of coffee, I get together with Rod and we go train. Mm-hmm. And I do that. So that's how I was able to create a consistency. I found that trying to do it at the end of my day left too many opportunities for me to decide against it.
Okay.
So it's equal parts adding it to your schedule, making it a part of your life, and then discovering what works best for you. I know plenty of people who, when I tell them I work out in the morning, I get up at 4 in to work out before work, people call me crazy.
Yeah, I did. I joined you that one morning.
Yeah.
The one morning.
At the pool.
At the pool.
Yeah.
And I don't know if God was up at that hour.
So he can sleep and I can handle it. But for me, I mean, I know that you come home from work and you'll get into the gym and you'll work out for ridiculous quantities of time. It makes me tired thinking about that. About spending all day at work, coming home, and then exerting myself in that manner. So, it's whatever works for you.
Well, I'm not the average person in regards to, just simply taking my schedule alone. School is out before 4 o'clock, right? And I don't live all that far away from my house. So I can be here late afternoon.
Yeah, but
right?
that's just the nuance of your specific situation.
Yes.
But it's still relevant to. There's only 3 ways to do this. Either you do it before work, you do it during work, or you do it after work. Mm-hmm. And so we've just talked about all 3 scenarios.
Yes.
I know plenty of people who There are people at the lab who get on the full-on bike gear with, the cycling gear with the skin tight spandex, everything, and the helmet that has the point at the back, and they've got these
Love that.
they've got these 3-pound bikes, and they're just going around on their lunches, full on. And that's what they're doing, and they're doing it in the middle of the day, and
That's great.
Yeah, it's hilarious, but yes.
Are they riding indoors?
No.
They're on the property.
Yeah, it's a big. I mean,
Yeah.
It's almost like a section of a city. So there's streets, there's roads, there's all kinds of ways to go. And sometimes they'll go off campus, and they're in Livermore. It's just the fact that they put on all the gear to cycle on their lunch break.
That's how it should be done every time.
Yeah, every time.
Part of their routine. So, you mentioned the gym. I was just thinking about the gym. Did you notice our gym membership went up?
No, I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, it went up, and I was going to bring that up today because that's one of people's biggest complaints as far as their ability to get fit.
Gyms are expensive.
Gyms are expensive if they want specialized machines. If they want, let's say they live in an apartment. They have a studio apartment, and they're barely making it, and their apartment complex does not have a workout room, and they just they would love to work out. They would if they can get to a gym, and the good gyms, you have to invest.
All right, let's talk about excuses. Hit me with excuses. So you don't need a gym membership. You don't need weights.
But I want a gym membership. That's the only way I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you right now that you may have to levy some different expectations in your life. And one of the biggest things that I've come across is that people believe they need a gym membership, or they need a rack of weights in their garage, or they need equipment. There's so much that so many people can do for so long with just their own body weight before their own body weight isn't enough, that most people will stop way before they reach that point. So I say that if you need to be frugal, and that if the cost is one of the reasons why you're not engaging in better health, immediately, I will tell you just to go to YouTube and look up body weight HIIT, HIIT. In fact, I'll do that, and then we're going to see how many programs just come up immediately.
High intensity interval training. That is, yeah. So, in spite of what people might like to believe, or might be more comfortable for them to
Here's the one that Rod likes.
There's plenty of available sources to get yourself from point A to point B as far as one's fitness journey. And body weight, it might not be for everybody, but at least it is a free option that's available. I know with we use Apple products in this household, and our phones have fitness built in to our monthly subscription. Yeah. And basically we have all of Apple's, their whole fitness catalog. You can scroll through anything and everything. If you want meditation, if you want yoga, if you want whatever it may be.
So 20 to 40 minute body weight HIIT videos go on forever on YouTube. They go on forever.
No, they don't, folks. It's only 20 to 40 minutes. We're not asking you to work out forever.
No, I mean the options.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's just, and I think that, so one of the reasons, so I started with body weight when I first started working out. And one of the reasons I like body weight is I think a lot of people injure themselves quick and fast when they go right to weights. And you learn a lot about your body movement, the different muscles and such, doing body weight before you get to doing weighted exercises. Things like squats and push-ups, and there's so many different movements that are also being done with weights, but You don't need the weight at first. I mean, if you're just some out of shape slob like I was, doing a 20-minute body weight workout is hard. It's hard work, but it's a great place to start.
And everybody has a body, and presumably,
I'm putting that clip on the internet.
presumably, your body should be able to sustain its own weight without completely self-destructing.
Yeah.
So if you can find ways to gradually increase the resistance from there, then yes, but starting with just moving your own frame, your own figure, your own body is there's a lot of value in there. I think probably the biggest obstacle is people don't know where to start, and I think we're saturated with information that it can get overwhelming. Like, which one of these is the one to start with?
Well,
they almost want a prescription for it.
I'll give a free no sponsor plug. So this guy right here, Tiff and Dan, Rod uses Dan's 25-minute HIIT workouts, and they're pretty hardcore. They're intermediate to advanced, but it's all body weight, and you don't have to keep up with this shredded guy, Dan, moment for moment. You do the best you can. But if you're looking for a place to start, this is as good a place as any. And it's free, it's on the internet. And they're pretty good.
And I think most people might not even realize that with their Apple One subscription, that the fitness is included there. For people, we have the Peloton here. I know that doesn't work for everybody. That's too expensive and it's too much initial cost.
I can't ride bikes.
And some people can't ride bikes, and the monthly subscription is pretty much a gym subscription. But
for just a bike, or you can,
correct.
If you were affluent enough to have a whole Peloton gym in your house, then the subscription would
sure
make sense.
But the Peloton does have a subscription that is far less. I think it's less than half of what we're currently paying, and it will allow you to get on your phone, and you can follow their weights and resistance training. You can follow their yoga. You can follow their meditation. You can go with the stretching. You could go for runs. There's a variety of things that you could do at a just a fraction of the regular cost.
Yeah, and there are plenty of program suites out there. Like I used to do Beachbody, and there were hundreds of programs. They were full programs. They had dietary pages built into the program. They had workout regimens. They had calendars and schedules, and they had all the videos. Some of them, every single video was unique. Like you'd have a 60 or 90-day program, and every single video was unique. So you weren't doing the same videos over and over. They were fresh. It was all fresh. And Peloton has the same thing. I know that Taco does the non-bike cardio stuff from Peloton. There's this free one that I used for a while to test it out for people. It was called I want to say it was called On Fitness.
Sounds familiar. Yes.
And and all the videos were free, and it was the same deal. You had to watch an ad or something. And a lot of those were kind of fun because they were all run by celebrities. So it'd be like Ariana Grande doing a 15-minute cardio workout or something like that, And so, there's a lot going on, and it can seem a little daunting, but that you're using it as an excuse.
Yes. It absolutely is.
Just pick something and try it. And if it doesn't work out, pick something else and try it. And I did that for the better part of 3 years before I found something that I stuck with and it worked consistently.
And if you can't pick, if you're too indecisive and you just are incapable of selecting something, then get with somebody who can pick for you.
Just put in the comments that you can't decide. I'll pick it for you.
Find somebody who is willing to go on this journey and help you select the path that's at least going to get you started, which we spoke about last time. Having a group, having a circle of support, that's having friends to actually walk this walk with.
Dude, having at least one person who is at least within your range, or in my case, willing to carry me along, Dad, that changed everything for me. I was very consistent when me and my wife were working out together, watching the videotapes and such. And then when she moved on to yoga and I moved on to weights, I hemmed and hawed, and I had some false starts, and I stopped, and I got hurt, and then I quit, and I started up again. And it wasn't until you, me, and Rod started working out in my garage that I haven't looked back ever since. That's been 3 years. So
Going on 3 years.
Since we started that, yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, having a buddy, huge. No excuses then, unless you want to make that excuse to your buddy.
So going back to cost, I know for me, personally speaking, I always have done better following through with things if I knew there was a cost attached.
Yeah.
And if it was free, I avoided it. If it were something free and it was always available, and I liken it to things on Netflix. You have Netflix.
Yes, I do.
There's pretty much enough content on Netflix to consume from now until the end of time.
You'd never, if you watch Netflix full time with OT, you'd never see everything.
That could be a good video idea.
Thank you. Oh gosh.
So anyway, let's not get sidetracked. But the things on there, when you know they're on there, there's not really a rush to get to them because you know you have them.
Yeah.
Right? There's just like there's food in your refrigerator in your pantry and you're hungry. Well, there's no rush to get to those things necessarily because they're there. Let's go order something else. Having an additional cost attached to something always meant more commitment was required of me because I paid for this and I need to use this.
Yeah, and so I would agree with that fundamentally. Like on the base, it's logical. It makes sense. I'm paying for this. I've got to use it. But I don't think that a lot of people think that way.
No, I think yes. What we've seen in gym memberships
73%,
and many of those people continue to pay. I mean, the gyms are overselling memberships. If everybody with a membership decided to show up one day at the gym, you couldn't use the gym.
Yeah.
There would be way too many people there. They're overselling, like a lot of airlines, as we know, overselling the tickets, overselling the memberships, and they're hoping that people don't cancel and they continue to receive that residual income. I was a part of that cycle years ago. When I had, my wife and I had a gym membership, and we maintained it for years and didn't use it. And I kind of looked at it like a punishment. Hey, if I'm not going to go do this, well, I'm going to punish. This is the cost, right? Do it or don't, but we're paying this. And so finally I did get rid of it.
I'm like that with my masterclass subscription. Same deal.
I got rid of that a while ago. I couldn't justify it.
So, according to a 2023 Cleveland Clinic survey, found that 46% of Americans view healthy food as too expensive and thus not worthy of their dollars for spending. It didn't say things about the gym memberships, but I'm sure it's similar. So half of Americans think that being healthy is too expensive.
So I would counter that with Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla is hilarious. I love Adam Carolla.
Yeah.
And his podcast is great. It's been good on radio and television. Anyway, he talks about this topic specifically and has over the years. Just like, how much does oatmeal cost?
Yeah.
How much does an apple cost? I know eggs have gone up recently, but eggs are not, well, I've heard they've gone up. I've just always paid more. In fact, I was at the store yesterday and I couldn't buy eggs because they did not have organic eggs.
They didn't have the expensive stuff.
It wasn't.
It's because they all died. The organic chickens were not resilient enough to survive the frickin' bird flu. So yes, eggs have gone up. In fact, when I went to Food for Less last weekend, I didn't buy eggs because an 18-pack was $10.19. If you bought one. If you wanted a second one, it was $12.49. And then I went to Costco and got a 5 dozen flat for $12.
Okay. Did you hear about the tangent? But did you hear about the Costco egg recall?
No.
Yeah.
Should I look into that before I eat these eggs?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah. If they had them on the shelf now, because they have already known about this. But yeah, there was a nationwide scare with Costco eggs being recalled.
When was it? Because I bought them last Sunday.
I just read the headline this week.
Okay, I'll look into it. Well, I won't waste time in the podcast doing that. But remind me.
But those simple ingredients, right? If you hard boil a couple of eggs, like even if you're just dirt poor, and you eat an apple, there's something to be said about an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? That adage is true.
The Red Delicious Apple Company coined that to sell you apples. But so on my list, so I asked ChatGPT that question, and then I asked about arguments, and the number one argument is affordable health options, and it includes staple foods. It says beans, lentils, rice, vegetables, seasonal vegetables, especially in California. So years ago when I was in groceries, my store manager, very unhealthy. Like that store was the only store I ever worked at that sold Lucky Strike unfiltered cigarettes, and it was because he was the one who bought them.
Oh.
Anyhow, getting older, health declining, overweight, goes to the doctor, tells the story about how his doctor, in the supermarket industry, we try to sell you meat as the center of your plate. And then, the vegetable stuff, because there's more and more profit in like cuts of meat and stuff. So he was being told by his doctor to move the meat off to the side and make the center of his plate the healthy options, the vegetables and rice and things like that. And that ties in directly with my experience with my meat consumption. And when I did the macro calendar thing, I discovered that I was eating way too much protein, and my center plate was breast chicken. I was taking way too much chicken for my lunch, and I was taking 110 grams of protein of chicken. It was unnecessary. My body couldn't process it, and so I moved the chicken over a little bit and filled my tray with more vegetables, and it was cheaper because chicken, especially breast chicken, is not the cheapest option.
I think you made an excellent point with seasonal stuff. And I know people kind of don't even bother to figure out or learn what fruits and vegetables are in season, because we get everything at all times in our country from everywhere. However, when you can get local fruits and vegetables and they're in season, they're the most nutritious, they're the most flavorful. Many times I prefer to go to local farmers markets to pick up stuff around here. There's one around the corner of your house at the mall on Sundays. There's one up the street over here on the way to the country that I like to visit and take bike rides out to. But getting that stuff many times is less than what you pay for in a supermarket, and it's more flavorful and it's more nutritious overall.
Yes, and we live in California, so yes, farmers markets are a thing here, and we also live in California, so the concept of seasonal vegetables might bleed for us a little bit because we're just importing so much.
Avocados from Mexico.
Yeah, asparagus from Argentina. Bell peppers from Chile.
Bananas from Brazil.
Yeah, everywhere. But yes, farmers markets, fresh produce, seasonal vegetables. The nice thing about seasonal vegetables is they go out of season right around the time you get sick of them. Starting your own garden, also very, if you have the climate to do that. We have 7 grow seasons where we live in California, which is ridiculous, but I can basically grow Italian squash year round. And you talked about being fresher and stuff like that. Another inexpensive or affordable option for vegetables is frozen vegetables. And frozen vegetables, and it's marginal, it's not as high as somebody might try to convince you, but frozen vegetables oftentimes have a higher nutritional value than fresh vegetables because they're picked right at or right before the peak of their freshness and immediately flash frozen. And as long as you don't boil them in a gallon of water and suck all those nutrients out,
Yes.
if you get one of
Just
those,
make sure you drink that gallon of water when you're done.
So Amethyst used to. So
That's good.
So like we have I've got the 2-layer steam colander, but they also make those inserts that go in, and you just put a little water in the bottom, a little salt in the water, and you steam the vegetables, and the wife will drink the water. But yes,
You use it in soup. You also mentioned beans, especially when beans are. You should buy dried beans,
Yes.
which I like too. In fact, I just made some this week. Pinto beans. I mean, we love Mexican food in this house, so I'll make a big batch of pinto beans, and we'll have them with the meal, and then I'll turn some of them into refried beans. But all of the blue zones, beans, legumes, lentils, those are a staple in all of the. Did you watch the Blue Zones documentary or docuseries on Netflix?
No, you told me about it, but
so
documentaries.
Basically, the Blue Zones, for those of you who are unaware, are specific places on planet Earth where people live the longest, well into their 90s, and they have the most people over 100. And this gentleman went through and documented all of those places. And one of the things that was the same is beans. People ate a fair amount of beans on a regular basis in every single one of those blue zones.
And yes, beans are cheap, especially dry beans. My excuse is that dry beans take super long to process and cook.
2 hours. I have you beans in 2 hours.
Okay, I'm curious about that process because I've always you look at the back of the package, and so I just did black beans recently. I had a pound bag of black beans. Not even sure why, but it happened. And so I followed the instructions on the back of the package, and it told me to soak them overnight. You got to separate them so you don't eat rocks, and then and then it told me to soak them overnight, and then I cooked them, and they came out fine. But it felt like an arduous process.
So the soaking them overnight and draining that water, one, it makes the beans easier to cook the next day when you go to. So they say, okay, soak them overnight, come to them the next day, dump out that water, then you can go right into cooking them because they're already softened, right? So that's the advantage there. The advantage to discarding the water that they soak in helps with digestion. People that if beans affect their stomach in a certain way, and if they don't want that or if they want less of that, then you discard the water. But when you're discarding the water, you're also discarding all of the nutrients. So my process: sort through the beans, make sure there's no stones in there.
Don't eat rocks.
Don't eat the rocks, kids. And put them in a pot. Put enough water in there, and I just turn it on high and let them boil for 2 hours. At the end of 2 hours, they're done. I'll toss in the salt and seasoning, and I might simmer a little bit more just if I want to get more water off, or if there's too much liquid, or if whatever consistency one wants. But basically, in 2 hours, I have beans.
And so let me ask you this: so can you make beans of a quantity so that you can have beans later? And you just talked about making refried beans.
Yes.
So for me, 2 hours to make beans for a specific meal the same day is still too long.
I'll make 2 gallons.
Okay.
I'll do it like on a Sunday.
You put them in plastic, and
I have commercial size containers to store food in, and I'll store them in there, and then as I need them, we're gonna have these beans here. These I'm gonna repurpose. I'm gonna make refried beans out of this for a dish, and just pair it with everything. I try to eat beans often, especially more often and more frequent after watching this Blue Zones thing. I found that it was quite interesting. Of course, there's many other factors, and one's health and overall health is not. Diet's a component of it. It's not everything, and beans are just one particular food.
Yeah.
And so that it's not the end all be all, but just knowing, wait a minute, all of these cultures, all of these places all over the world are doing this. It's like, okay, I'll give it a try. Let's see what happens.
So one of the things that I discovered about eating healthy and eating better was, so I've always known how to cook. I could sustain myself. If I needed to, I can cook. I'm not the best cook, but I've gotten better and better since I've started eating healthier. One of the things I learned that, we're so used to the massive unnecessary ratio of fat, sugar, salt of like fast food places, of restaurants. We start to crave those high quantities, those flavors. And you start cooking for yourself and you're like, oh, this is bland garbage. And it might be, but you can make healthy, better tasting foods in your own kitchen than you can get most anywhere else. You just got to practice it.
Yes.
It's just like exercising and creating a routine for yourself. You can. I prefer my own cooking at this point. Like if we're out and about and we're thinking about, well, let's get something real quick, nothing comes to mind.
I'm right there with you. I can identify with that. There's so many places I don't go and or will avoid because I know I make the food that they serve there better.
Yeah.
And if I go there, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to wish I didn't spend the money. I'm going to want that money back in my wallet, back in the bank account. I'm not going to be satisfied. I'm probably going to go home and make something that I actually would enjoy and would have wanted to begin with at home. And so now it's a waste of money, waste of time. My boys now, if I give them the option, hey, let's go out for burgers, or I can make burgers at home.
Yeah.
They, hands down, 100% of the time, want burgers from me at the house. Hey, you know what? I was thinking about buying some fried chicken. Or I could just fry some chicken here. Yeah. What do you want? Or, I mean, I'm just using those two as examples, but whatever their favorites are, we can go out anywhere you want and go get it, or I'll prepare it here. Now, I do practice cooking quite a bit. And I pride myself on the food and the cuisine I serve, and I like people to enjoy it. And I've proven this with one teenager and one adolescent, one 10-year-old, who presumably would not like anything, right? And didn't for quite some time. But if I can feed children, which is a good test, if your flavors are good enough that children don't reject it, you should be okay. And if your kids don't eat, if you're preparing 3 or 4 or 5 meals at your house because this person wants this and that person wants that, and I need to eat this for my diet, that's really going to be a hurdle. That's an obstacle that I would try to avoid at all costs, because that's not going to, long term, preparing so many different meals in the household to meet everybody's either dietary requirements or just what their wants are, that's unsustainable.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And yes, I agree that not everybody has to binge watch Hell's Kitchen in order to be a gourmet chef like you.
You have to go to Hell's Kitchen and study them in person.
Yeah, no, but you can, yes. My meals are rather provincial. I do the teriyaki chicken and rice, and I do the things that I do aren't extravagant, but I've gotten consistently better at them over the years by just practicing and just being a part of that. And for me, it's what it's become now is the one thing that I would always be okay with going out and eating was breakfast, and that's completely gone away now. And I don't know if it's because I've gotten better at it, or if it's because the breakfast spots now have just started to go downhill.
Hey, there's that one diner at the bowling alley we like. That's a pretty good spot.
Yes, and that's a good example of a place that I will frequent. But
there's not a lot of them.
No, and especially the franchise places. Like the Denny's. And I'm sorry, Denny's, I'm throwing you under the bus, but
they're struggling.
There were 2 Denny's here in town, and one of them closed down. And when it opened back up, I was like, "Oh, remember we went?" And I was it hurt. It was so bad. And they just opened back up, so I was like, "Well, maybe they're still trying to get their footing." It's obviously a new franchisee in the place. They got new staff, whatever. So a month later, I took my wife to the same Denny's, and it was worse. And then, another month goes by, and I'm taking my car in for service. I decided I'll just go for a walk. I'll go to the IHOP. And I've never really had a good IHOP experience, but you know what? I give them a chance. So I go to the IHOP, and not only was it subpar, period, it was mad expensive. Like, if you're not getting the bottomless pancakes everything was ridiculously expensive, and it was a la carte,
Mhm.
you know. And I got this French toast thing and some hash browns and coffee, and it was like $30 for me, and I was like, I was I was blown away where I can stay home
Mhm.
even with the cost of eggs today.
Yes. Yes.
And make my own waffles in the waffle iron.
Mhm.
Have 2 eggs, have bacon or sausage or spam, and I not the point of my story.
Let's not do the spam,
And
folks. We
and
could do better.
no,
Can't we?
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about him. His taste buds are gods of themselves. So he's got a royal tongue, but
Keep going.
but the but the point is, and I could make all these things and make like a legit high end breakfast
Yep.
for 6 or 8 people, or I could go to IHOP.
Yeah. No. Breakfast is one of the things. Okay, especially if you're trying to eat healthy, right? Breakfast, American breakfast is not healthy to begin with, and probably you should avoid it. But if you want some of those things a little bit healthier, I know like the protein pancakes. We just got a big thing of that from.
I did the Kodiak protein pancakes.
We got the
yeah.
Kodiak. We got the Kodiak, and
they're good.
They are good. They are good. They're healthier than if you're gonna have pancakes. You should try, at least give them a try. And you can make your own. I have a recipe for protein pancakes, and you can adjust and just to your heart's content. But breakfast, yes, they're making a killing at the Denny's. I mean, their eggs are small to medium. The bacon is just paper thin.
You can read through the bacon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, you can get a higher quality everything. You can go get a loaf of bread for toast. You can go get a dozen eggs. You can go get a package of bacon, and you can go home and have a great time with that, and have several meals or feed your whole family, just like you said, and not be mad that hey, you dropped 30, 40, $50 on you and somebody else. Eating out, I would say if someone's on this whole road, probably should be infrequent at best. Once or and really go. I would say make it a treat, right? Cut out all the other eating out. Do the cooking, do the meal prepping, do it for yourself, do it for your health, and then, that Saturday night, that Friday night, or maybe a Friday night out, a Saturday lunch out, that's fine. Yeah. But do that at places that are worthy of the dollars that you're spending. Make sure they're providing you something that you can't do for yourself. Which is why I rarely go out and order chicken, because I can make amazing chicken. Eggs, I cook eggs well, right? Pasta, most places are using, if they're making dried pasta, right? Well, I can do that. I can go buy a package of dried pasta
for 99 cents.
Right. I could do that at home. I don't need. So if I go out for pasta, that pasta is made fresh. Somebody in the back made the sauce. They made the pasta. And if they're making it fresh, if they're making it from scratch, it's not this ultra processed, high processed food that is not going to add very much nutritional value or anything to you want it to add to your health and not take away.
Yeah, no, I totally agree about the chicken thing. Like I can't eat chicken at fast food places. If your chicken is kicking it under a heat lamp, waiting for me to order it, if you have, go to Sykes' house.
Yes, come on over.
Try out some real home cooked chicken, some fried chicken, and you'll never eat at churches again. And I used to love that stuff, but now it's just like. I just made fried chicken. I made chicken and waffles last weekend, and I just do it myself. I just fillet cut the damn chicken breast, and boom, 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 fry, and it was obnoxious how great it was, and it's just so simple. I don't need 11 herbs and spices. I got my own little proprietary blend, and it was great.
And most food will taste good if people add the appropriate amount of salt. So if people think, oh, I can't cook, or my food doesn't taste good, what usually is the case is they're just not adding enough salt. Yeah. And if they just add more salt, and make sure it's a high quality salt. Don't use that iodine. You know,
How am I going to get iodine?
table salt.
I don't want thyroid disease.
There's other ways to get it. I mean, you can use it here or there, but that stuff is already built into many of the other things. You're not going to be iodine deficient.
Yes. I've got so I get the coarse cooking salt, and when I use that over the table salt, the wife's like, "What did you do?"
Yes,
And it's just the salt.
It's just salt.
You know what I just bought actually at Costco? I haven't opened it yet because I still have a little bit of table salt left in my shaker. I bought a big old thing of fine grain pink Himalayan sea salt.
Yep.
And I'm expecting that to be kind of awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But yes, and there's also it's a fine line though, because you get too much salt and then it just tastes like salt.
Yes,
and it's unhealthy.
It becomes inedible. And if you're not going to consistently work out, if you're not going to break a sweat later, then people should cut out the sodium in their diet. But if you're going to be working out and if you're going to be exerting yourself, and if you're going to be breaking a sweat, then yes, your body is going to need that sodium, and that's going to help you perform.
Yeah, I think that's great. And yes, and when you talk about needing more salt, it's a marginal increase. It's not like, oh, for salt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a fine line between no flavor and too much salt.
Yes, salt just helps things taste like themselves.
Yes,
itself, the food, the ingredient's going to taste better. So yes, if somebody's on this health and fitness journey, and we talked about last time how diet is, we just can't even emphasize how important one's diet is and the nutrition they're putting into their bodies. I think one of the biggest things a person can do for their own personal growth and development as an individual, and as somebody who's a part of a family too, this learning how to cook good, healthy, nutritional food is not just helping yourself. If you have a family of people, if you can feed them and if you can teach them, I'm sure we talked about some of the statistics and last time about the level of obesity, how many people are overweight and obese in our country. Wasn't approaching like 80% or something like that. Something outrageous.
It was
no, not quite that high, but almost half.
Yeah.
Almost half of the country.
Yeah,
So,
I think it was like 43% or something.
so chances are everybody knows somebody in their life who's close to them that can benefit from learning how to eat and consume food healthier.
And we're so food driven, and that's fine. But I think you can figure out how to cook things that you want. You want more than you want to go get a cheeseburger. So, and that's for me. That was the transition for me. Was, you know what? I don't want to go to McDonald's. I want to cook at home because my food is better.
Yes.
And you'll find that if you cook more and more and more, you will want to eat out less and less because your body doesn't want or need all that extra fat, sugar, and salt.
Yes.
And it starts to make you sick. Like I can't eat at McDonald's. I can't go to Burger King. I can and do go to Taco Bell occasionally.
I know, and your palate will change. I notice now if I have a burger from McDonald's and I live across the street from McDonald's, it's sweet. Like the bread and the bun is it's like why does this taste like I'm eating pastry?
It's fat, sugar, and salt. Yeah, no, it's
so much sugar.
For me, I loved Carl's Jr. Like Carl's Jr. was my fast food place, and I would go there 4 times a week or more. Hell, when I started out in groceries as a janitor back in 2000, every night before I went into work, I stopped off at the Carl's Jr. that was at the front of the parking lot, and I got a Famous Star with cheese. I did it every single night for a year, and I never got tired of it. And then I stopped going to fast food when I started getting healthy, and I lived on chicken and rice for a solid year because I had to lose weight and I was all messed up. And then we went to Reno, and we're driving back, and I was super hungover, and I needed to eat. So we stopped off, went to Carl's Jr., and this is many years later. This is probably only about 6 or 7 years ago. Went to Carl's Jr., it was right off the freeway, and I got the Famous Star meal or whatever it was, and it was gross. And usually when you're hungover, that kind of stuff is like, oh my God, you love it. But it was terrible. And I didn't finish it, even though I really needed to. But so yes, you're going to find that as you learn to cook and as you practice and you get better at it, you're going to be more apt to want to cook. But if you do crave and want those things, like I said, I mean, I crave Taco Bell tacos, Del Tacos too. You know, I wish the Del Taco was closer than the Taco Bell, but they're basically the same kind of feel. You know, if you're eating at Taco Bell every day, there's nothing special about it. So make it something special. Make it something to look forward to. Do your meal prep, cook at home, eat healthy, and then have that Thursday eat out at Taco Bell. That's something, use it to keep you on track instead of using it to screw your health.
One of my staff members looked at me funny. This was a few months ago. I came back from lunch with a Taco Bell bag, and
I look at you funny.
yeah,
Since you give me shit about Taco Bell all the time.
I do. So I was like, you know what? Let's re-examine this. You know, like you used to do with McDonald's,
Yeah,
right? You take 5-10 years off, and then you
every half decade I go to McDonald's and be like, what the hell was I thinking?
So I did that with Taco Bell. She gave me this look. She's like, "Are you gonna eat that? Are you okay? Is something wrong?" And
did a mental health check.
and as it's like, no, I'm fine. I'm just gonna, I just wanted to see, they have some new things on the menu. I just wanted to check them out, and I did, and I did not feel well afterwards.
It's too high. It's so high in fat.
My body rejected it. In fact, I was out sick the next day.
Yeah,
It's
really bad.
Not like food poisoning, but just maybe I don't know. Oh, if I could describe a grade below that, just did not feel well. Just did not feel well
So
at all.
I get that like food sickness from eating things that are too greasy and fatty. Yeah, and if you were getting like the burritos that make your fingers sticky when you're eating them because they're so greasy and fatty, then I could see you getting sick from that.
Yeah. So, your money, your time, and your health are things that can run out if you misuse them, and which is why if you really want to eat something, right? If you have your heart set on, I want tacos. Well, go get some really good. Go get tacos that are just going to put everybody else's tacos, off. It's going to blow them out of the water. Where you're just not going to want this.
Yeah, like Toro Bravo.
Toro Bravo. No, yeah, Toro. Oh, yeah, Toro Bravo. They're good.
And like
Toro Bravo.
The place across from the hospital that I've started to go to instead of Taco Bell, the El Grillo, with the dollar tacos.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's a good place.
There's so many. Yeah,
You've been on this taco kick for a while.
Dude, my wife yesterday accused me of being addicted. And I was like, you know what? I think you're right. I made tacos recently too. Love tacos. So
we spent a fair amount of time talking about nutrition. I think this conversation deserved it.
Yeah.
This topic definitely deserved it. Health and nutrition, what people eat, how people can avoid bad food and avoid the obstacles that prevent them from getting. I mean, we know food's costs are going up, and they're going to continue to go up, and they're going to go up next year, and they're going to go up the year after that, and we're all in this together. Hopefully people can continue to find creative ways to prepare and serve food that's going to encourage their continued health.
I think that as fast food becomes less and less, the affordability gap is starting to shrink. I think that as convenience foods become less of a frugal option, people will be forced into food meal prep, which is always going to be the cheapest way to go.
Well, even places like Applebee's. I know Applebee's they had a whole advertisement campaign targeting fast food, specifically burger joints and things of that nature, because McDonald's and Burger King and those places, their meals, if you get a meal, you're over $10 and sometimes approaching $15, $16, $17, $18, depending on what size you get and what options that you have. And I know Applebee's, in fact, I checked them out recently because I wanted to test this. They had the 3 for $10. It was 3 for $10. You got a burger, a side, and a drink. And it's like, okay, well, let me go get their chicken sandwich, their grilled chicken sandwich. Okay, let me try. I think I tried the fries. on this particular occasion, and let's just see, are they any good? Is there enough of them? Or are they serving like a handful of fries and that's it, or are they being generous?
You want to value check their deal.
Yes. And what size is the drink? And it was legitimate. It was a legitimate. If you only had $10 and you wanted to go out to lunch and you could call it in, and I used the app. It's super easy. In fact, I think I got a little discount on the first go around. Yeah. When it came to decide, do I go out to fast food, or do I go to a place like an Applebee's or a Chili's or something like that, who's directly competing with those fast food establishments? I would side on the full sit down brick and mortar restaurants. Go to one of those places that are, if they have a deal such as that.
Yeah, I think that's a good place for us to kind of close it down, because all we're going to do is get into bashing fast food places from this point.
Any sponsors available out there after this? Probably not. Denny's least is.
Yeah, Denny's and IHOP are not calling letter K. There's a few places out there that we didn't slam, and I do like Taco Bell.
And we'll get to you later.
Yeah. Yeah. So
we'll see you next time.
Yeah, where we solve health.
I'm looking forward to solving it.
Yeah.
I think the world needs it. Maybe we can win a Nobel Prize.
Do they have a Nobel BS prize? Join us next time. Thank you. That's hilarious and stupid.